And we're back, Dragon Brawlers, here for the April Spring Regional for the Dragon Ball Super Card game, brought to you by Cardmarket. And I am, of course, Scott Sedman, joined by Melvin, aka Senzu Pop.
You have to do the everything like
Sorry, okay,
AKA.
okay. So I am Scott Sedman, aka Guildmaster, aka Mini Hand, and today I'm joined by
Melvin, aka Schlitzy, aka Slushy, aka Sensu Pop, and we have a very interesting match for you today. It is gonna be
for the
OG
third
Bro.
time.
It is gonna be OG Broly and the very new off the oven, just came out from the oven. It is gonna be Nappa. How much do you know about the Nappa leader, Scott?
So the way I've seen it, there's been two different builds. People either go into the green Cyberman
Mm-hmm.
or they go into the red one. I prefer going into the red one, which is what the Battle Evolution supports.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think both have their merits, I guess. I just think it's such a unique leader to have. Like Nappa and Cybermen. As Cybermen, you can breaks the rule of the game essentially by having as many copies as you want of them in your deck. And it's just a really interesting minusing mechanic. I don't know how much that's going to impact Broly, though, where Broly's going to be forcing to rip his hand and doesn't really care too much about what's on the field. And yeah, I don't know, Melvin. What do you make of Nappa?
Okay, I'm just not gonna comment. Okay, when it comes to Nappa, right? One very important thing to note is I don't think the leader draws a lot.
It does not.
Yep, because
It does not.
you don't really draw, you play it from your hand. And now he is against a leader that is quite focused on board control and hand destruction. So maybe it just comes down to a bad matchup. But we'll see because Diego, as we know, he is, I think, our first European champion or second one.
Yeah,
Second one,
he,
right?
he
Because,
took the Coventry event.
yep. And the first European champion was Augustus.
Mm-hmm.
Augusto. Okay, so we are talking about some very high caliber player on in our stream right now. So it is going to be pretty much exciting.
I mean, he represented Europe at the Battle Hour, right? Like
Oh
he was
yeah, true,
there.
true, true, true. He
So
was there. Yep. So
Lots of
he,
lots of accolades there. So yeah, Nappa, for those who don't know, but since it is a new leader, is an activate main once per turn. Add one card from life to hand. Play up to one Sideman card from your deck. Shuffle your deck. When you're at 4 or less life, you may switch one energy to active mode. Play up to 2 Sideman cards from your deck. Shuffle your deck and flip this card over. When it's awakened, onto the Nappa and Cyberman, the first invaders. Also, when this card attacks, play up to one Cyberman card from your deck, then shuffle your deck. Also, once per turn, when one of your Cybermen is KO'd, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 10k power for the turn. Activate main once per turn. Look up to the top 7 cards of your deck. Add up to one red Vegeta or Nappa card with an energy cost of 4 or less among them to your hand. Then shuffle your deck if you added a card to your hand. Choose one card in your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. So yeah, there's not a lot of gaining cards to hand innately.
Mm-hmm. What is interesting over here is that you can see that when Nappa do have the option to activate his effect without swinging. So it is just good for Broly just to drop that Infinite Saiyan Rare and then grab that demonic ring, the new Broly ring from his deck, put it onto the field. Now his hands is protected. He is on the way to getting awakened. So it's just a perfect start for the Broly player. I'm not too sure if he has Paragus the Sacrifice on the board. That would help him to self-awaken also.
Oh, he plays the
Oh,
Bulma.
mm-hmm. So when you play Bulma, you look up the top 3, pick a Saiyan, which is 3 or less, or your Unison card, which is 2 costs into your hands. And
Which I imagine is Bardock, correct?
I'm not too sure about which one it is going to be. I think it is designed for Bardock's.
Yeah, so the Bardock Unison. Oh no, he picks the Vegeta super combo, which is also a good shout. Always want to be able to get your super combos to hand as quickly as possible. Yeah, and so we're seeing Diego running both Cybermen there. You can see in the drop he has the red Cyberman, and then on the field he has the green one, which is a blocker.
Okay, so Scott, Mr. Cyberman expert, would you want to explain what is the difference between the two of them?
Well, one of them's head's open and it's spew. Oh, you mean what the cards do, not what they look like? Right,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad. Yes, so the green one is a blocker. Both have the permanent of you can include as many cards of as you want, as long as you don't exceed the deck limit, which is currently 60. So you can have 61. I see people trying that. Don't do that. That's not how you play this game. And the red one has a minusing ability when it dies, when it goes bye bye.
hmm But right now on the board itself, okay, you can see that he takes out. Oh no. There is nothing much for the opponent to take it out, so that's totally fine. Oh, you can see that the both green and red Cyberman has really made it into the board, and due to Nampa not really being played, you can also see that the OG Broly player is having difficulty trying to understand what are they doing too, which
It's
is
definitely a peculiar deck.
it is a peculiar deck. But then it comes back into the best of one format, right? Because the best of one format also lends itself for rogue deck to showcase what they can do. Because more than just being a good deck, sometimes it's also good that if you can take your opponent out by surprise. And this is one of the things that a rogue deck can do in best of one because your opponent does not have the second round to respond.
So this Yamcha Unison is incredible for this deck. I mean, it's designed for this deck. So essentially, you can get rid of your Cybermen and then bring them back immediately. So obviously, you get rid of the red ones. You proc that minus ability, which we saw there, minusing the power of Bulma, KOing her. And so, like, you just get to recur that. But what we see in Diego's energy, and I absolutely adore this, is the Bardock Super Rare. And essentially, when you play that, and it has the flex, so you can't stop it. It gives free markers to that Unison, which is awesome. Like that is such a good way to turbo that Unison since it's only 9k power. It can be easily attacked,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll probably see can swing into it now that he can freely do that with his leader.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so being able to just drop a free drop Bardock to boost up that Unison could be huge because essentially the ultimate ability of that Unison is to make those Cybermen really strong and hit hard. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter how
correct.
many cards you got in hand. If you have a board full of Cybermen and you manage to pull off that ultimate, that becomes a problem very quickly.
It is a -5 that says choose up to 9 of your red and green battle cards with energy cost of 1, and every single one of them gets 1100 for the 11,000 for the turn. So every single of that Cyberman, it's going to swing at 15. Is that
Mm-hmm.
15?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so they're going to swing at 15k. So it's not something to scoff at. It's going to be very, very difficult. And with the Bardock, it just gives your Unison card 3 markers just right off the bat. And then and because you didn't use your markers ability for your Unison just to get a +1, you can immediately go for the -5.
Exactly. And like you're saying, like it them being 15k is huge. It means potentially they can threaten lethal if you're only on one, but it forces a combo or life take. That's the thing.
Er,
And having those that you can just play for free and then force your opponent up to 9 is insane. And yes, we do see the Bardock Unison there, the SPR version of it, which stops Diego from comboing a little bit, but I don't think that's too huge for Diego here because his focus is going to be on um, protecting that Unison and then swarming the board, which we do see there. He blocks the attack as I'm assuming Broly was going into the Unison,
mhm.
and then obviously forces a card from hand through due to the Broly auto. Yeah, really,
This is
like,
it.
sorry.
Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, this is a case of you want to defend this Unison as best as you can, because I think Diego's way of winning is just overthrowing Broly.
Mhm. But this is also something that you said in the previous game is that what Broly can do right now, it's in the past, he has a permanent that says that he cannot attack a leader card. And that was always try to balance it out because your opponent loses a card, but by taking a life, he is able to regenerate or replenish that one card that is lost. So basically kind of like trying to balance it out. But right now with the Unison card in play, your Broly just got a boost without getting a boost outright, and because now your Broly leader can swing into a Unison card, and it's just good. And your opponent still has to drop that one card.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. And so we're seeing Nappa take that life to get a free body on board, which is a Sideman, the red one again. So if
Mhm.
Can does play battle cards, they're going to be losing power left, right, and center. But more importantly, he's in that awaken range, which is why Diego charged a multicolor, knowing that he can switch it back to active mode, which I think we're seeing here now. Yep, so he flips over. So now Nappa can even play more Sidemen. So he plays two from the deck when he awakens. And when he swings, he can play stuff as well. So this is the Cyberman Swarm, and rightly so. We're seeing a blocker pick up there just in
Mhm.
case.
And I think it lends itself, the Napa deck really lends itself properly to the mechanics, because right now what Diego, the Napa player, is trying to do is not to awaken Broly, because when Broly on his awakened side does have the extra ability to take care of things on the board. But the good part is the other player can choose which one goes, and especially when you're playing against a deck with so many weenies, you could just easily choose any one of them because they are not your boss monster that you need to win the game with.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the huge aspects of Nappa is essentially these are all cannon fodder that can become scary if you let them. So
Mhm.
it's one of those things like you have to manage that unison, which distracts from the leader, so the leader is allowed to stay alive and punch you and build more and more power. Granted, Mass Saiyan Secret Identity does very much hurt this
Oh
deck.
yeah.
Oh, and we're seeing a dormant potential there, so that also not great for the deck.
Mhm. So Dominant Potential, one of the most powerful extra cards right now that we have in the game. When you play it, you can free play if you have a unison card that is on the board. And what you can do here with your Dominant Potential is that it does not negate the attack. However, your opponent can only attack one more time this turn. You can combo out, of course, after you do your Dominant Potential, but it does have the additional effect of choosing your opponent's battle card up to two with a battle cost up to two and remove them. And against a deck that it all plays just one drop, it's huge.
Yeah, it's a really huge play,
Mm.
especially for no energy, and it just buys you that time, or buys you that time if you want. But the fact that this, I'm assuming, ooh, is that the heroine? Was that heroine's lineage? I
Yeah.
believe that was heroine's lineage we just saw getting dropped. So he's not playing the Boo Secret Rare. That must have been another build. There was a few Broly's I was looking at earlier on today. One of them has the Boo Secret Rare, but I guess we're seeing OG Broly with Heroine's lineage, which I guess is a good time to talk about what Heroine's lineage does.
hmm Um, it has got to be one of the most talked about cards in the past 1 week, right? Because after the PPG event, we get to see how powerful the card is, because it activates battle, and just for one energy, what does it do? It steals your opponent battle card 7 cost or less. So your opponent could be going in for the game, or he's just comboing, and then you tap one and says, "Goodbye, it is mine." And it can be also used offensively, especially if your opponent has a blocker. What you want to do is it does not KO the blocker, but you can steal the blocker from your opponent so that you can take care of the blocker and go for the final swing if you want to. So all around a very, very good card. It does not get past barrier, unfortunately, but I think if it gets past barrier, that card would be way
Insane.
insane,
Insane.
insane, right?
Yeah,
What a
it would immediately go into the top secret spot. Currently, I think it's the second best secret rare in the game.
Wow, that is a very huge statement from Scott.
I'm very prone to controversial secret rare statements. Apparently,
What
I
is your
still
first?
stand by secret Supreme Guide of Time, also known as Scott Skot.
All
Um,
right, all
yeah.
right.
But Heroine's lineage is absolutely amazing. So
Mhm.
we're seeing the Vegeta come down here, which allows him to pop off a Cyberman, which is really good again because it can allow you to boost up the other ones. So now that Bardock that he fought was pretty safe, looking a bit less safe.
Yep. So when it comes to this Vegeta, it's a very good card for Cyberman because he has barrier. He activate main once per turn. You get to choose one of a Cyberman card and KO it, and then you get to draw a card and you choose up to two of your red Cyberman card, and then get 11,000 for the turn. So pretty powerful card. And you can see right now what's going on the board. The Broly has not awakened. That's pretty bad for Broly. I hope he draws into something that could help him, like Paragon's the Sacrifice. And yeah, and but look at the players, Diego's board, who is playing Nappa. The whole board is swamped with Cybermen, and of course we have
And
Vegeta
more,
over there.
yeah. Oops,
Yeah.
sorry. I was going to say there is the blocker there just underneath the Vegeta, just in case he needs to block an attack.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. All
Just
right.
sneaky. I was going to say he could have Topper, but then I realized he doesn't have 2 energy standing.
Yep. It needs one red, but unfortunately, it also needs another color. But
Yeah.
I think against a board like that, I don't think he needs a Topo because I don't think there are going to be a lot of attacks.
No, potentially not. So this is the activate main, I believe, of the Broly.
Okay,
He's trying to
that's
use, yeah.
yep. This is pretty desperate.
Yeah. So forcing the demonic restraint to go to the drop.
Yep.
Um,
However, because it is activated from your hand at the point of time it is activated, it is not counted as a battle card. Demonic Restraint does not go up on the board.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I think both. I think maybe they're just checking for that. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what they're looking for here is just clarity on that ruling, because it is one of those obscure rulings where it seems like it should work how it does, but due to the way the game's rules are, it doesn't quite work that way. Sometimes that happens.
But do you think it is designed to work that way?
Oh, I mean, I would assume so, but we've also seen how things like Bar.Resolute that we've also seen in the past work one way and then actually it works a different way. So I honestly, it really depends. Um, hopefully, events like this can spotlight the issue and see how things work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as you were
No,
saying,
this
yeah,
is this is not correct. No, this is not correct. It is not a battle card when it is activated from the hand. Mm-hmm. Should we call a judge?
yeah. I mean, if
Yep.
it's incorrect, then yeah, we have to maintain.
Let us. I will unmute myself from them
Mhm.
and just said that we are calling
So
for.
while we're dealing with that,
Yep.
I'll talk about how yeah. So the what Melvin is referring to and why we're going to get a judge for this is essentially while yes it is a battle card, like the card is a battle card, while it's in the hand and using that effect, it's not treated as a battle card, and thus it won't trigger the effect of demonic restraint. Um, yeah. So that's why they're double checking. But I believe we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find out what the ruling is. So obviously, the reason the Broly player was trying to do that is so when demonic restraint leaves the field, it can come back. You take that life, which then puts you in awakening range, um, and thus, obviously, then Broly can start KOing battle cards. It can. And I also think it draws on the awakened side, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I played set one, but I'm fairly certain it has the draw uh, potential. Which is why Melvin is also like was explaining. Do you think it was designed that way? Because naturally, you would think Broly support doing this would lead to looping it, but then again, it might just be an unintentional circumstance of how it's written. Yeah, so obviously a card needs to go back into life. And I assume the judge is going to. Is the judge in the room? No, I'm not sure.
I'm Scott. I need help. Where can I find a judge?
Judge at judge in the
Okay.
judge support room.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to Cast the Cam. Woo!
All right, guys. So we
Hello.
do have a issue over there, because there is a play. Because when it comes to the 4-drop, there is a issue because when you're activating from your hand, it is not a battle card yet, so it does not come back. But that is very important. It's not just demonic restraint that it stays on the in the drop area, because when it comes back, the Broly player it's able to awaken. So there is quite a lot of at stake over there.
Hmm.
So that is why we are calling for the judge.
Yeah, it can hugely and drastically change the pace of the game. Like as you were saying, Melvin, like forcing it to do it that way shows that maybe he doesn't have another way of doing it. And yeah, like we want this to be the correct way of doing it, right? We want to show off the deck doing how it's meant to do. But like you say, it does
All
raise
right,
that
just give
interesting
me a second.
question of is that the way it was designed, or is that the way it's intended? Um, so I think they're going to try and reverse. Obviously, we'll know more and we'll let you know when we can. We apologize for the inconvenience. We do really want to show off original Broly doing Broly things. Um, so yeah, it's one of those cool things. It's demonic restraint versus the I can't remember what it's. What do you remember, Melvin? Do you remember the name of the Broly from Battle Evolution? Not sure. Cool. Okay. Ah, yeah, that's fine. So while that's being decided, let's talk about Nappa for a bit. So as you can see, Nappa doing Nappa things there. It's interesting that he has the Great Ape charged. So there could be a Great Ape play later down the line. I don't think this game will go to that point where he needs to do it. I think having an amassed army of Cybermen uh, and swinging in to your opponent when you're feeling lethal is probably the best way to go about it. And Diego is, like we said, he's a very experienced player when it comes to this game. He's been through the trials and tribulations of winning an entire event and also going on to represent Europe at the Battle Hour, which recently had. It showed off some of the coolest decks with some flashy animations, showing what this card game's all about with a bit of fun added in. Um, Whereas this, we're in a competitive environment, but bringing a deck to the table that not many people know, and as Melvin rightly pointed out during the earlier portions of this match, is that bringing a rogue deck or an unknown quantity into a tournament like this is hugely beneficial. We're playing best of one here, so there isn't a sideboard. There is no, oh, I can just sideboard good cards against a problem deck. Uh, there is no, oh, well, I need Mass Satan Identity, which does really hurt Nappa. I won't, I will admit that. Like, Mass Satan ID being able to warp up to six cost, so that's six potential Sidemans going to the warp, not the drop, is where he can recur from the drop. That's it, it's super fascinating, the Nappa deck, and I believe it's getting support in the anniversary box of 2021. So for those who are on the edge about Nappa, this could be huge. Like, Nappa could be a breakout star, and I really want to see it because the Cyberman strategy, as I've mentioned previously, they can be multiple copies of them. So you're not restricted to just 4 green, 4 red. You can have 36 red, 2 green, or you don't even need to play green. You don't even need to play red. There's so many ways Nappa can go. So if he has a few more support cards, or even more Cyberman cards that he can choose from, that'd be really cool. A potential super combo Cyberman card would be amazing.
Scott, that was also amazing that you come in to help me out to take care of the stream while I was at the judge. So we are back at the game. So there is a we are
Yeah.
back at the game. Just give me a second. I need
Okay.
to.
So it seems like they've reverted back to the point of the misplay.
Yes, correct.
So it seems. Okay.
So the ruling is correct, and because that card, when it is activated, even though it is a battle card, right, which is very counterintuitive, it is a battle card, but when it is activated from the hand, because it is a secret area, it is still not a battle card yet. So the
Mm.
demonic restraint does not come back into play. It is very important at a point of time because the opponent kind of needs it to take a life.
Yeah, and that would allow him to awaken and then pressure more advantage, obviously being 15k as well. It's
Hmm.
huge. It's huge. And you are right to point out we want to maintain legal play for this stream. Um, and
Yep.
so now we're seeing like this. It's always frustrating when a judge has to be called, and like obviously it changes the Broly's game plan entirely.
Hmm. Definitely. And they have reverted to support state. So what we can see right here is that at least right now it is going to be back to where it is. The Broly player really needs to self-awaken. That is going to be hard. But we also saw something which is kind of really sad for the Broly player, because usually when you play that 4-drop, what you want to do is you tap one and then you evolve right on top of it to
Yeah.
your 6-drop, and he wasn't unable to do that. So a pretty bad situation right now for the
Which, if
OG
he does
Broly
go into
player.
that 6-drop, I'm assuming it would be the set one SR, right? You were thinking of,
Yes,
which would
correct.
force 2 cards out of Diego's hand.
Hmm.
But yeah, like you say, Diego can just freely not choose to attack into that Broly now and just get rid of that Bardock unison.
Yeah, correct.
He's got Vegeta still on board.
So it is unison card. It's usually very good when you play it because all your defensive option and everything is being set up. And if they don't take care of the unison
And
card,
the dormant potential.
yeah, their ultimate ability, it's kind of it's something that you as the opponent doesn't want to deal with. However, if you are also having difficulty, but choosing when to play the unison card is also very important, because right now the unison card is actually causing the OG Broly player more trouble than it actually gives him, right? Because he is
Mm.
unable to awaken, and Broly really needs
And
to
there we
awaken to
go.
get the
Broly gets
effect.
minus due to the Sidemen and leader. Sorry to cut you off there, Melvin. Just wanted to explain what was happening there and why the Broly disappeared. Is because when that Sideman leaves, it minuses power, and obviously Nappa's also triggers when a card leaves. Minus when a Sideman goes bye bye, you minus more power. So minus enough power to get rid of that Broly. Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm. All right. No worries. And right now you can see that the game state, it's in such a way. Are you able to see what is the live total right now? So OG Broly, it's at 5.
And I think Diego is at 3.
Diego is at 3. Okay.
And
Pretty
I believe he
interesting.
added another unison to hand.
Hmm.
Wasn't able to make out what it was though.
Yep. Are those little red ones blocker though?
The reds are not blockers, but the ones with dice on are now 15k, so he can easily remove that unison if he so chooses.
Yep. Okay, but he can choose not to swing, and then allows his leader to swing into the unison if he wants
His
to.
leader's already swung for the 10.
Oh, I mean, later, setting it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
True. But I
Because
think
as
you.
yes,
No,
because
no, I was gonna say sorry. Oh my god, sorry, Melvin. I would think you'd want rid of the unison.
oh no, because as good because okay, that what is the benefit of having a unison card on board? It's all this free
Oh,
counterplay and the free counter attack, right? However, against a deck like this, a charismatic villain, as good as a card for charismatic villain, where he comes into play, he pops something which is 7 or less for free. Against a deck like that, not that much.
that's a really good point. And we also saw Diego just swing into the leader there, putting Broly at 4.
Okay,
Huh.
and the leader right now can awaken, which is good. The problem is he does not have the ring anymore on the board.
And there is the awaken.
Hmm.
Drawing 2 cards. Back in the set 1 days, there was no one tapping when you were work. It was just, I draw 2 cards. I love how Awakens evolved over the span of this game. And I think actually this is a perfect match to show it off. So starting where we started, which was drawing 2 cards when you awaken, to now playing with even playing cards, right? Like it's not just untapping. It's like, oh, you get 2 guys from your deck. That's so cool to me as someone who's been playing since day one.
And for example, like Tenshinhan, the multiform, you get to play 3
Mm.
multiform clone token, and that was also really interesting too. But what is your favorite card awaken? The way to awaken though. What is your favorite ones?
I, I think you said it. I think Tian Han, like, it's such an on theme awaken. Oh, and there's a super combo. So defending this is Broly down to 2 life.
Yeah, I think so because Diego just went almost all in.
Is that the Piccolo? I can't tell what card it is that swung. But
I
I think Diego took that game there. Um,
yeah, I can't.
Unfortunate on the ruling.
Yep,
Um,
I can't
oh no,
see.
it was the Nappa. It was the uncommon Nappa from
Super.
Battle Evolution.
Yeah,
And yeah, we're back. So I think what Diego played there for the win was oh gosh, now I've got to find the card. Um,
yeah, I'm not too sure what was it because the camp itself was quite blurry and I was unable to make it up what card was it. However, at the last part, Diego just brought in one turn the opponent's life from 5 down to 0. And that is the power of red
yeah.
aggression and also Napa when you just flood the board, like what you said, scored, or the Cyberman suddenly becomes something that you don't want to deal with.
So what I think Diego played there was Nappa Break Cannon Unleashed. I could be wrong, but I think that's what he played. So it's also a Battle Evolution card. It's a rare. It's a 4 cost, 1 green, 1 red. It's deflect, so it doesn't get hit by counterplays. Double strike, dual attack. Also, once per turn, if there are a total of 6 or more battle cards with an energy cost of 1 in your battle area and drop area, when this card attacks, it gets plus 10k attack power for the turn. Then choose up to 3 of your opponent's battle cards and KO them. So I think that's what Diego used to win the game there.
Mm-hmm.
Or it was the Piccolo Jr. from Draftbox.
Unfortunately, we are unable to verify this because the webcam quality wasn't that good at the time. That was unfortunate, but you know, if it's webcam, it's the situations that we're in. We're just trying to make the best out of it and still trying to enjoy the game that we all love in any ways that we can. And yeah, so this is very, very interesting. But I believe that you can also see the evolution of the game, right? Because right now, what most people do is that you know what you cannot do during a webcam tournament? Take the card and read it from your opponent. So what people are doing it is to have something handy on the side so that they can search for it and read it, and so that you understand what your opponent deck is. Very crucial, especially in best of one.
Yeah.
And
I genuinely couldn't have put that better myself, Melvin. Really well put. I I, I love the fact that Nappa's doing so well. I granted we're only 2 rounds into this tournament, but of a potential 8 rounds, like that's such a cool feat for me. I mean, Diego's accomplishments are not to be undermined here. Diego is probably one of Europe's best, if not one of the best players in the world. And piloting such an unusual deck, I think, gives him that advantage. Coming into a matchup with an unknown quantity is huge.
yep.
Whereas, yes, original Broly might seem roguelike. A lot of people kind of know what it does, right? A lot of people, like yourself, Melvin, Senzu Pop, been covering that deck quite a lot. And amazing coverage you do. That is a sentence that sounds weird.
All
Yeah,
right.
like, so Broly is a match that people kind of know, whereas Nappa, I don't think anyone was expecting Nappa to be doing this well.
Yep.
At least I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Yeah, but I'm glad that we get to see the different decks that has been in on display, especially with the launch of Battle Evolution Booster. Such a refreshing take on the new meta. I just want to see all this deck do so well. Once again, we apologize for the technical difficulties that we are receiving, and also with the judge call. This is the unfortunate aspect. We will work to make sure that this will be minimized or not happen again. And we're going to take a short break for now and see you guys in round number 3. Stay with us.